Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of FSi DFS Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm host Mike Row 31. It's hot time out here where I am. Hopefully, you are doing okay to beat the heat. Yesterday, we had a lot of weather issues. Today, we don't, but we have a lot of wind blowing out. So it's going to be a 10-game slate, I think. I know there's a doubleheader with St. Louis and Kansas City. So it's kind of weird because I saw like two different sets of pictures on that one, and hopefully they keep it on the slate if it goes like really late or something. But as of right now, it's like 6 in the morning on the East Coast. They haven't had the red lettering on the top of it saying that those games wouldn't count. So we'll see what DK does, but just keep an eye on that for that one. So, anyways, 9 to 10 game slate here. First up, Dodgers and Phillies, Gavin Stone and Christopher Sanchez. I put both of these in like kind of not the fade, but no interest category because Stone really doesn't have a ton of strikeouts, and Harbor and Schwarber are back in this lineup. And Sanchez, the same thing, is against a really decent Dodger lineup here. I I don't think I really want to play either pitcher in the 9K range. Maybe you capture lightning in the bottle and everybody fades them at their price tag against a really bad matchup against, facing like potent offenses on both sides. At 88 degrees with the wind blowing out 16 miles per hour, so it's excellent hitting conditions too to boot. So bat wise, I'll put both of them in the GPP category because there's every single person I believe in the top category has like almost a 5 total. Now Philly's close there with 4.94, but still, I think they make great GPP stacks. I wouldn't take one-offs here. I pretty much it's a stack or fade of these teams. And again, pitchers at your own discretion. Athletics at the Red Sox, wind blowing out here again too, 84 degrees. So great hitting condition. JC Sears and Nick Pivetta. Even though it's great hitting conditions, and the Red Sox are my third favorite team on the slate here, I think I could play Sears because Red Sox have struggled against left-handed pitching. So I think that we can try him in a GPP at a cheap price range, and that opens up some salaries for some bats in your lineup. Pavetta by far is my favorite pitcher on the slate here against Oakland, even with the conditions, even with Oakland figuring out how to hit a little bit recently. I still think they'll be fine. I really like Pavetta here. Bat wise, Oakland would be the top contrarian stack because I think Pavetta is going to have the highest ownership on the slate for pitching. And Boston, I like them against Sears, and Oakland has usually a pretty bad bullpen behind them besides their closer. So they should be able to pick on some of those there. So Red Sox 5.42 total with wind blowing out. If you're not playing Sears, then sign me up for that. Next, we have the Nationals and the Mets at the Mets ballpark. So it's a pitching upgrade there, but again, 20-mile-per-hour winds blowing out 81 degrees, kind of a little bit neutralizes that. It does help hitting to some degree. Patrick Corbin and Luis Severino. Now, Patrick Corbin has been better recently. His control hasn't been giving up like the long ball. Um, but there's a lot of power righties on the Mets that could change really quickly here, especially in these hitting conditions. And Severino on the other side, I think's got to be in play in the mid range for you. So Washington, it's just a joke that like Abrams and Thomas are so expensive in this stack. I mean, they've been doing good, but not that good to be priced up like Tani Will Smith, like Dodger pricing or um, Soto and Judge pricing. It's just they're you know Altuve and Alvarez pricing. It's just like crazy. But the rest of the stack is pretty reasonable, but I think Severino will get some ownership, so there'll be a leverage stack. And then the Mets are my second favorite stack on the slate here. Love the righties, Lindor, switch hitter, JD Martinez, Alonso, Alvarez, the catcher, Vientos, even like Bader as a wraparound has some decent power. So Taylor Iglesias, you can throw those in. Also, they're cheap 3K guys to make your stack work. Colorado at Cincinnati, wind blowing out here, 12 miles per hour, 75 degrees. So in the Great American Small Park, it's a good hitting situation too. Kyle Freeland and Montas. Freeland, I'm going to give you the same speech I gave you for Sears, but he's not a great strikeout pitcher. But if you look in the last 4 games, I think he's only given up 3 runs, and some of them have been in course. So he's been efficient. He's been getting people out. The Cincinnati team has a decent amount of strikeouts at the bottom of the lineup. If he can just get past like India, if he's back in, De La Cruz, Candelario, uh, Steers 50-50, but Marte, Hines, Espinal wins. Austin Slater, they picked up for San Francisco. He might be thrown in there. And then when they should be okay. So I think in GPP again, you can use Freeland. Montas, don't mind him here. Probably gonna be the top in the cheap category at 7K. I wish it a little bit more discount on the top cheap pitcher, but just on 10 game slate, the way pricing's working out here, it's not going to happen. So Colorado makes a decent cheap stack here. There's nobody above 4 or 5, which is Doyle. So you can definitely use them as a cheap fill in here in a good hitting situation. And the other side here, Cincinnati is going to be the top stock on the slate with 5.41 total. Indy, if he's back in the lineup, De La Cruz, if he can get up to him, Candelario, Steer, Marte Hines in 2 games has had a really, really hot start. So someone at 2.5 there might be a lock button in the cash games for you. Kansas City is St. Louis. Again, Waka and Gray. Again, I don't know if these are going to be the 2 pitchers. I don't know what's going to happen with the doubleheader and stuff. I think it's just too volatile to play this. Like we should have everything by lock because the game's only at 7:45. But that's if the first game doesn't get pushed back. So I'm just going to say if you need these teams on a 10 game slate or mass multi entering, that's fine. Sonny Gray is too expensive at 10K when I can get Pivetta or Webb, who doesn't have the K upside, but is a good pitcher in a decent matchup. And then walk on the other side against St. Louis is okay, but again, it's hot in St. Louis and the wind's blowing out here too. Not as extreme; it's like more like 6 miles per hour. But if that picks up at all, that could change conditions. So bat wise, I think these are just leverage teams. So again, I'm kind of cross off this game for myself in cash. But if you want to play them, go ahead. So Miami and Houston here. Hoeing and Framber Valdez. I think that Hoeing, I don't really want to play him against Houston here. He's going to be on the fade list. Valdez, I think, is probably going to be the default SP2 here against the Marlins team that just has no right-handed power. Maybe Bell, De La Cruz, and Berger, but I haven't seen much of it recently. So I think that you've got strikeouts in this lineup. Valdez is a great. He hasn't had a great season, hasn't had an abysmal season, but I think it's a good send him in the right direction spot for Valdez here. That wise, Miami is probably going to be the second highest leverage stack on the slate with only a 2.91 total. Might be the if everybody looks at that and completely writes them off, then a right-handed Miami stack could take it out tournament if something happens weird and Valdez has an off night. So again, De La Cruz, Bell, Berger there. I don't know if I can even find 5 guys that I'd want to play in Miami, but maybe at least a 3-man stack there. And then Houston, I think, is fine against Miami, at least holding the starter. The bullpen hasn't been bad, but like Houston just is patient and has been getting a little bit better. They just need to get a little bit healthier here to get back to full strength and maybe get back into the playoff picture. They're just on the fringe of it, I believe. So yeah, Houston is going to be my 4th favorite stack of the night. Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, Martin Perez and Tobias Myers. I'm not really. I could maybe do Perez as a cheap one here against Milwaukee. They have struggled a little bit against left-handed pitching, but he doesn't really have a ton of K upside here. And Myers on the other side against Pittsburgh team who's been batting decent. It's a park upgrade for them a little bit here too. So I think you gotta consider Pittsburgh as like a cheap stack potentially. Like Reynolds and Cruz are in the 5K range, but if you take them out, like everybody else is reasonable. And the middle to the bottom of this lineup has been actually hitting decent recently. So Milwaukee is another stock that you can play that's pretty reasonable. Again, besides Contreras and Yelich, he probably won't at least Contreras here. Yelich lefty and lefty is fine, but I wouldn't play 6K for him. But Chirinos should lead off at 3.8. That's decent. Adamas at 4.2. Perkins, Hoskins. I play the righties there probably 1 through 6 without Yelich if I was stacking Milwaukee. Rangers and Angels, Lorenzen and Cannon. Lorenzen's got to be in play here. He pitched decently in his last start, and the Angels, even though they got Rodon back and Drury back, they're starting to get healthier. I still think there's some strikeouts in this lineup, and definitely a chance to have a decent game at 8-1. The price is a little steeper than I'd like it to be, but again, and if you want to try to get a little bit different, there's somebody that might be a pivot off of Valdez for $200 in the same price range. And Cannon on the other side, like Texas is starting to put it together. Like they really cheat off last night, so it's definitely a team that I mean Garcia is struggling still a little bit, but and Simeon, Seager, Smith, Langford, Lau, Fine. Um, it's just one time before we put it all together here. Angels on the other side here would probably be my top, even though I think Lorenzo will have some ownership, like a cheap stack here. Just again, I don't like that there are so many righties in the lineup, but I think the with some of the price tags here, if you stack them and they work out for you, like I play them every single day, and they have been like the little engine that could just finding out. I haven't had any takedowns with the Angels yet, a couple close ones, but they've just made the other teams that and pitchers have been able to get in, and then provided that little extra boost in most of my lineups. Braves and Diamondbacks, Morton and Ciccone here. Morton, I think he'll be okay, but the Diamondbacks have a pretty decent offense here. Like Carroll, Peterson are probably the ones you can be the most. Walker's been hitting both sides of the plate pretty well, also. So and Marche's switch here, so probably the top four. So I'm not super in love with playing Morton here. I think that you have like probably four pitchers I'd play above him. I'd even consider maybe like Sanchez. Above him also, even though he's in like the no interest category against the Dodgers. So I'll let you decide on that one. Zacconi is one that probably the lowest cheap one. The Braves haven't been the Braves, and there are strikeouts in the bottom of this lineup. They actually have like number 6 in like K rate in like the last 14 days, but still they could be the Braves and put things together. So the Braves are somewhere in the middle in GPP stacks, and Arizona's out there with them. So again, probably just gonna cross this game off. There's really nothing. If you're looking for a late night hammer, I'm looking to play more Rangers than I am anybody probably in this game. And then the final game, I don't really think there's a late night hammer here. Chris Bassett, Logan Webb, both like decent like real life pitchers, but for DFS, I don't think they really get like the keys or anything. Maybe on FanDuel for Webb just because it goes so deep into games usually, but not loving a ton here. And bat wise, Toronto has a 3.15 total, and San Francisco has a 3.85 total for a total of 7. Like that's super low. Right. Again, if you want to stack these bats, that's fine. I think they're the lowest realm of the cheap category because Vlad 5K is the most expensive bat here. Ramos at 4.8. Everybody else is in the low 4K range or 3K range. So you can definitely fill in. And if you want to get like pay up for like Sonny Gray and Pavetta like for 2 pitchers and then build like stocks out of this game and hope that everybody avoids it going with game through just because of the low totals. And for some reason it turns into a slugfest. I mean, it is in San Francisco, which is like a pitcher's park to some degree. like 65 degrees, so it's probably one of the coolest temperatures on the slate. So I'm not super excited about that. So see what I got for you for builds and get you on your way for your day. So Pivetta and Valdez is where I'm going with pitching, and then give me Cincinnati and Boston. So Candelario there. I'll let you see if you want to pick like the Cincinnati catcher along there. Second base, I'll probably play India if he's in. If not, I don't think there's anybody second base eligible in the projected lineup for Boston. So I might just find a cheap one off there. Devers or Marte. I think you got to pay up for either Devers or O'Neill. I'd probably go O'Neill just because it's righty on lefty there, and Devers will be lefty and lefty. And if you take Devers, you'll take Reef Snyder. If you take O'Neill, you'll take Marte, and then Steele and Hines. That's 2,500. New guy that's in his like third game is like been hitting pretty hot. Just lock him in there. Okay, getting a little bit risky in a GPP here, taking Freeland and Sears. Like I said, I think they're contrarian because the pitchers against them and the teams against them are going to have high totals, but I think there's some merit in what they can do, and it gives me Houston and a Mets stack. So probably Alvarez at catcher there, or maybe take the Houston catcher. If not, if you want to punt, then you can definitely get out of this tier and get up to like a Montas or if somebody that you might feel safer as a pitcher. Definitely locking in Alonso, Altuve here again at third base. If you want to go Bregman, then you need to keep the cheaper pitchers. If you want to go Vientos, that opens up a little bit more salary for you, so you should be able to pay up a little bit more there. For outfield, Lindor, JD Martinez, and Alvarez. If you want to drop down to Bader, if you want to drop down to like Taylor, there also for the Mets, that will open up some more salary for you so you can get out of this range for pitching. But I'm going full throttle A lists, Houston and Mets lineup, and hoping the pitchers get me just enough to get me across that finish line. So I got for you. If you have questions, put in the chat below. Hit me Megaro31 on Twitter/X. If you want more information on FSi DFS, you can go to the description of the video, and the link to our pricing page is there. We are very cheap, $6 a day for a VIP package, and only $25 a week. It will get you all sports. We got PGA coming up. Actually, there's two PGA tours, one in Scotland and one's in America, I believe. So John Cole will be covering those. We got soccer still going on. We got WNBA. We got Olympic stuff coming up. Baseball, NASCAR on the weekends. So many things are going on. So that we cover and bring to you. So thanks for watching. If this video's help us back, like, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends. So thanks for watching. Hope you have an amazing Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow for that slate breakdown. Working contest. I'll see you next time.